Hello, this is the second module in a video series about using the principles of the Baldrige model to inform department and unit improvement. Module 2 is all about strategy. As you'll see in this video, strategy is much more than having a plan that connects the ends to the means. It's about working to integrate everything together with a focus on action to support achievement of your mission. When I was a kid, there was a game we played every time I went to my grandfather's house called Stratego, or Stratego. I'm not really sure, actually. If you're not familiar with this game, it's a turn-based game where you move your pieces, either red or blue, to find the other team's flag. And you do this by moving your piece onto a square occupied by one of the other team's pieces, at which point both players disclose the identity of their two pieces. The piece with the higher rank wins, and the piece with the lower rank is removed from the game. This is one of the more challenging aspects of the game in that you can't see the other information about the other team's pieces, so there's a lot of guesswork and trying to remember when you interact with the pieces which one is which. There's also several specialty pieces in the game, bombs, which destroy everything except for the miner, and a spy who can only defeat the highest ranking piece from the other team. Now I bring this game up because it's very strategic. There's lots of elements that relate to this in terms of creating and implementing strategy for your organization. So for example, as you're thinking about creating an initial plan, you want to find ways to capitalize on your strengths and take advantages of opportunities and set up your pieces in place to achieve that plan. And when you're thinking about carrying out your plan, you want to think about how it's communicated, carefully monitor your progress, make changes in the moment as needed, and if everything else fails, be ready to call for your dad when your brother cheats, which he did almost as much as I cheated. Now, creating a strategic plan is an essential part of your department's strategy. Now, you might be aware that the university has a strategic plan, that the college has a strategic plan. You may wonder, why does your department need its own plan? Well, the reason is that the college and university plans focus on a different level of action than your department. It is important, of course, to think about how you align and connect with these plans, but by themselves, they're not sufficient. Strategic plans should do these three things. So first of all, they should capitalize on opportunities and address threats. We'll discuss those more in the SWOT analysis. They should directly connect to your mission, vision, and values. And so it should be very clear what you're trying to achieve, why you exist, what you believe. And third, your strategic plan should also directly identify what you need to do to achieve your mission. So you should use active language that focuses on what you need to do to achieve your mission. There's also some things they should not try to do. So first of all, they're not a list of stuff you're already doing. Second of all, it's not an attempt to describe everything you're going to do. Areas shouldn't feel like they must be represented in your strategic plan because plans are about implementing a specific strategy to achieve your vision. They're not about describing or explaining everything you're doing. And also, you don't want to write them in such broad generalities that they're not very useful, like you don't want to write, we're pursuing excellence. Rather, you want to say the specific strategies that will be used to achieve the overall goals. A good way to get started with developing a strategic plan is to implement a SWOT analysis. SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Strengths and weaknesses are considered internally. What are you good at? What are your internal challenges? And they reflect things we can change, like policies, allocation of resources, professional development, and so on. Opportunities and threats are external, and they indicate areas you might pursue for growth, things might inhibit your ability to achieve your mission, and they're generally out of our control. But we can, with our plan, control how we prepare and respond to opportunities and threats. So in strategic planning, you'll see lots of different terminology used for the different elements of a plan. And that's totally fine. It doesn't really matter what you call each element in the end. So what I'm going to show you here are the terms that we have been used at the university and in the college. At the highest level, we call those strategic goals. Under the strategic goals are objectives, which are the specific things that need to be done to achieve these overarching goals. The next level down are action plans, which are specific time-based steps, including assignment of accountability for completion of the objectives. And finally, a plan should include key performance measures for each objective. And in some instances, you also see performance measures for the strategic goals as well, although those aren't maybe quite as common. So when going to implement a SWOT analysis, it should be done with a group of leaders from the unit. It's, of course, very useful and helpful to have data from your own performance on what's happening with your peers or what you're hearing is happening more broadly in the environment. But work with what data you have and don't let the absence of perfect data deter you from moving forward with the effort, as it's important to acknowledge that you can never have enough data to make a perfect decision. In the SWOT analysis, we're really only trying to think about the next 3 to 5 years, which is the typical length of a strategic plan. But if you're working on facilities plans or major equipment purchases or other sorts of generational decisions, you might want to consider a longer timeline. However, again, predicting what will happen 3 to 5 years from now is beyond that is really very difficult. So once you do the SWOT analysis, the next step is to take that and use it to inform the creation of your strategic plan. So in creating your plan, there's no one right way to do this. One thing that helps is to align your strategic objectives with the higher level structures, such as the college or university's goals. If you don't have a mission that addresses all of those goals, then just leave that one out, because not every unit is expected to do everything. And for reference, the College of Education's strategic goals are to 1. Improve student success, 2. Advance research and discovery, 3. Increase community and stakeholder engagement, and 4. Actively engage diversity, equity, inclusion, and anti-racism. So for each relevant strategic goal, you should seek to write 1 to 5 objectives. Objectives are different than the strategic goals that I recommend. I recommend writing them as a SMART objective, which is specific, measurable, ambitious but achievable, and time-bound. You should also identify some performance measures, no more than 1 to 5 for each objective. So these plans are of little use if they just sit there on your hard drive, taking up space that could be used for more important items, like photos of your cat. What really matters is actually putting them into action and getting use out of them. So carrying out your strategic plan, it's helpful to generate action plans. So action plans are specific tasks that are required to achieve each objective. Action plans should also include the assignment of responsibility to a specific person. In the College of Education, we've used what's called the Inspire template to support action planning. This is what the template looks like. You can see it includes a space for describing the topic, what you're acting on, and why. For the planned action, there's also a space to identify what needs to be done and what success looks like. It's also important to consider who else should be involved, have some dates by which certain activities will be completed. By including a deadline, you'll see it allows for accountability and helps those of us who don't do things until there's a deadline to get things done. This is also available as a Word document, so you can just type your responses right in the box instead of trying to create your own template here. And this is really just kind of a generic planning template, so it should be able to be used for most action plans that you develop based on your strategic plan. In terms of the number of action plans you want to develop, I'd suggest 2 to 4 for each cycle, probably no more than that given how much work there is to do in addition to the action planning process and action planning carrying out. So for most units, an annual cycle will be what you'll use, but if you have a shorter time frame, like a semester-wise, feel free to generate new action plans as you finish the current action plans. It's important to consider how you monitor progress of your action plans and the progress towards your objectives. I recommend including what's called leading measures and not just lag measures, as leading measures point to actions that can be taken to ensure your success on the objectives. Essentially, lag measures are measures of the objective itself, and leading measures are measures that indicate whether you're likely to get there. So, for example, if your objective is to increase the number of students who graduate in 4 years or less, that'll be your lag measure, the number of students who graduate in 4 years or less. However, as you can expect, that takes a long time to indicate improvement because you have to wait till the end of every semester to see who graduates. And by that point, it's too late to make any changes for those students. Lead measures, in contrast, indicate your progress toward the goal. So for example, you could track the number of courses that have enrollment waitlists, as this is a big factor in students graduating in 4 years. And that's a measure that you could quickly take action on even before a semester starts. If you notice there's a lot of courses with a waitlist, you could add more sections or make some other changes to make sure that the number of students on a waitlist is lower. So that would be a predictor that would then give you an indication of whether or not you're likely to make that longer overall objective. So putting it all together, here's an example of what this might look like. So for example, if the strategic goal is to improve student success, completion, and lifelong learning, the objective might be to increase the number of degrees and certificates awarded. Action plans might include developing, evaluating, and revising program offerings, providing career opportunities, increasing student participation in high-impact practices, and so on. And as you can see here, this action plan was assigned to the Vice President of Academic Affairs and the Vice President of Student Success. And their key performance measure, which you will note is a lagging measure, is to produce degrees and certificates of 1,290 or more per year. So you can see how this all brings everything together, and you can identify in here some very specific actions that need to be done in order to achieve these objectives and the overall goal. So that's a quick introduction to strategy and the end of Module 2. The associated activities with module include SWOT analysis guide, strategic planning template, the Inspire action planning template, And those are all available for you now. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.